focus. Ideate, innovate, enable. Symphony presents Thinkers of Tomorrow in partnership with News 18 Network.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the grand finale of Symphony Presents Thinkers of Tomorrow in partnership with News 18 Network. And ladies and gentlemen, this evening we have all gathered here to recognize and celebrate the outstanding achievements of such MSMEs who have not only helped India in its GDP growth, but have gone above and beyond to incorporate sustainable practices into their operations. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's quickly get started by inviting onto the dais Anuj Arora, Chief Marketing Officer, Symphony Limited, to get on the stage and set the context for today with his welcome address. A very warm welcome, Anuj.
India has seen a big rise in deaths during extreme weather conditions, hot weather between last 10 years. We also seen in a couple of researches that India has lost approximately 160 billion potential labor hours because the weather conditions are so unproductive for the laborers who are working in the factories, in the warehouses, it becomes very difficult, right? And that's close to 5% of country's GDP, which could have been added if all these people didn't have any absenteeism. So it's all effort that we need to make together to make the working conditions more comfortable, more productive, which eventually is going to give you better profitability, right? So somewhere we think ESG and profitability don't go hand in hand, like I need to compete on the costs. That's not the thought. You work, start investing rightly on ESG, rightly investing in the sustainable practices. It's going to help you in your business in a short and medium term. I'm not even talking about a long term. And that's the message we want to give through our initiative of Thinkers of Tomorrow, that we all need to start working together right now. No one organization or a government can work on this together. We all need to work together to make sure that our country, all our citizens are starting this long journey towards sustainability, towards working better working conditions, inclusion and caring for our employees, and balancing the employee comfort environment without losing focus on profitability. Thank you, and looking forward to a very interesting session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arora, for those insights. Ladies and gentlemen, let me quickly invite onto our dais, and please join your hands together for our chief guest of the evening, MSME Secretary Shri B.B. Swain. I request you to please join us and deliver the keynote address.
I congratulate News 18 Network and Symphony for organizing this wonderful event. The contribution of MSMEs to the growth of Indian economy in terms of employment generation, production and exports is well known and well documented. In recent times, MSMEs have shown tremendous resilience during the pandemic. Their enterprising skills were truly put to test in the aftermath of COVID-19. And with support of all stakeholders, the sector has managed to come back on the growth trajectory. To substantiate my point, I quote the latest economic survey, which indicates that the GST collections from MSMEs in the current financial year are higher than those in the pre-pandemic years. The support from the government has been multi-sectoral and multi-pronged. I'll cite a few examples. A very well-documented report says that as many as 14.6 lakh MSME accounts were actually saved from becoming NPA because of the launch of Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme, ECLGS. During the COVID, a special sub-portal was created as part of MSME Samadhan. This was launched on 14 June 2020 for reporting dues and monthly payments by Government of India ministries and CPSEs to MSMEs. I'm very happy to say that the dues paid till 10th April 23 is 2,11,488 crore. This, you will appreciate, ladies and gentlemen, went a long way in at least sustaining a lot of working capital needs. Both ECLGS and Government of India initiative are paying out from CPSCs and from government ministries to a huge figure of 2 lakh crore during this particular period. Government announcement during the same period in 2020 revised the definition of MSMEs based on the composite criteria of investment in plant and machinery or equipment and turnover of the enterprise in 2020, replacing the erstwhile criterion of investment in plant and machinery. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention.
It's time for me to head into this panel discussion titled Indian MSMEs Navigating New World Order, Building New India. And to moderate this session, may I please invite on stage our very own Mugdha Kalra.
I want to start my discussion by talking about the credit gap, which most MSMEs face today. So, Mr. Gulati, if I may start with you. 14% of the 64 million MSMEs in India have access to credit, compared to 30% in other countries. And when we talk about the credit gap, it's huge because a lot of them are depending on the disorganized or unorganized sector, as we call it. When we talk about the credit gap, what are the classic challenges that these small and medium enterprises are facing today?
The biggest challenge that we have is almost 85% businesses, MSMEs, are informal. What do I mean by informal? So they don't have any structured balance sheets. They don't have any structured credit payment systems at their end. They don't monitor, track how the accounts work at their end. And that's where they lose out to various changes that we have seen in country over last decade. Things have changed dramatically, I would say. Multiple things, like Mr. Swain said. There has been a lot of ease on policies front, whether it is GSTN, whether it is UPI, whether e-way bills, MSME Aadhaar. So much has been happening and so much will further happen on this front. But if you don't have formalized pattern, being managed at your end, you may not be able to avail the advantages of these changes which are happening around us on payments and on credit front.
Mr. Sehgal, that brings me to another question, which is, when we talk about the credit gap, we also talk about the regulatory framework. In this environment, how can the government, of course, and how can organizations, collectives, industry chambers help MSMEs in figuring their way and navigating their way out of the regular hodgepodge that they find themselves in, the regulatory hodgepodge that they find themselves in?
The fact is that the complexity has been reduced tremendously. And what is happening is that the fear which MSMEs had, as Mr. Gulati mentioned, that they don't want to come into the limelight, that they're not part of the formal system. That fear is being removed. As he mentioned, you can now go and get Udyam registration without any external certification, no question of having 3 photocopies attested by a gazetted officer, notarized, this, that, none of that. You say it, your word is accepted. And the fact that there is so much data floating around, which of course the financial sector is now also harvesting, is that, for example, there's a scheme which is a 59-minute loan scheme of public sector banks. You go on there and you give your PAN number, you give your GST return, and you give permission for them to access that. With knowing that, they know what is your turnover, they know what is your profitability. And that makes it very simple to decide whether to give you credit or not. So these kind of schemes, coupled with another thing which is happening, is something called deemed acceptance. So if you apply and within a certain timeline, you do not get an answer, there is deemed approval. That's another thing which is happening widely in the government.
Fantastic. Vishwachetan, when in this economy and in this environment we are talking about for profit, only profit, profit first, sustainability and ESG dialogues somewhat appear premature for a lot of MSMEs, right? So in this environment, how do MSMEs find their way out and balance with ESG and fix their supply chain and look at their transport and a lot of, what has your experience been with Ecom Express and handling so many MSMEs as clients?
I think there are some important myths to be busted. I think the first bigger problem is that of awareness. And it applies to the big industries as much as the MSMEs. And I think the first myth that I want to bust is profitability and ESG DI are, they are not, complementary to each other. They are very much intertwined. And I think the first important awareness that is required is this. Second important awareness that is required is the smaller the size, the easier it is to get ESG compliant. When you want to start this journey, when you're really big, it becomes that much more difficult than when you are, smaller size. Actually, smaller size is a tailwind of sorts, to become more ESG compliant.
Mr. Sharma, if I could get you in Techie Electronics, how is your company helping Indian MSMEs bringing about the energy efficiency revolution?
Thank you for having me over first. So Deki is primarily is a medium-scale company by the definition, the new definition. We are an electronic component maker. We also do a few other things, but today I'll stick to the electronic components. And our what makes me proud is that we started as a 40-people company. We had a license to do 10 million pieces of capacitors in the whole year. In those days, if you did more than that, they will put you in jail. So it's a refreshing change that today we don't have issues like that. We do now 10 million, we do 4 million a day, so we do 10 million in 2.5 days. Wow. Now this journey, that's fine. I mean, many companies have scaled up, but this journey has happened in a zero-duty environment. So every single capacitor we sell is technically benchmarked with the best in Japan, is reliably benchmarked with the best in Germany, and is, on a price-wise, it is benchmarked with the best or the cheapest in China. It is also benchmarked with the fantastic Indian payment conditions that we have.
And I want to get you in from the Symphony story and take the thread forward, which is, in your line of work, how many companies that you have worked with, MSMEs that you've worked with, have you seen now concentrating upon their employees?
What we need to bring to the table is the understanding of how to help the workers, the team, and how does this entire focus on being responsible to the team, to the larger environment, that is something that needs to be brought to the MSMEs. We can say the same about the overall working conditions as well. Many of us have air-conditioned head offices, but there's a going around in the corporate offices, the decisions that are taken in a 25-degree head office, when they go and meet the dust in the 40-degree field, what happens to those decisions? The MSMEs see those every day.
And with that, it's a wrap of the panel discussion. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for your time and for talking to us.
Symphony presents Thinkers of Tomorrow in partnership with News 18 Network.
It's now time to honor and celebrate those mavericks who personify leaders of change. Presenting the first category of the evening.
Thinkers of Tomorrow, MSME of the Year in Agriculture and Farming category.
And the award in this category goes to C6 Energy Private Limited. C6 Energy was founded in 2010, and over the last decade, it has become a pioneer of innovative technologies for sustainable, large-scale and mechanized farming of sea plants and the conversion of the sea plant biomass to novel products. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the next category, please.
Thinkers of Tomorrow, MSME of the Year in Automobiles and OEM category.
And the award in Automobile and OEM goes to Auto International. Auto International are manufacturers, OEM suppliers and exporters of customized closed-die hot forged components. They've been recently credited with shifting their processes to more environmentally friendly ways, like using PNG gas and installing solar panels to fulfill their electricity needs. Kudos to the team. Let's move on to the next category, please.
Thinkers of Tomorrow, MSME of the Year in FMCG category.
And MSME of the Year in FMCG category goes to EcoFem. Rising from Auroville in Tamil Nadu, EcoFem is a women-led social enterprise with a global reach that produces and sells organic washable cloth pads in India and in 20 countries around the world. Well done, EcoFem. Can we have the next category, please?
Thinkers of Tomorrow, MSME of the Year in Health and Wellness category.
And the award in this category goes to Health Wheels Private Limited. Health Wheels is a technology-driven startup in medical emergency services, mainly into ambulance aggregation. They've built the Dial 4242 platform, which is hosted on AWS Cloud and have more than 10,000 ambulances spread across 700 cities in India and counting. It's time to move on to the next category.
Thinkers of Tomorrow, MSME of the Year in Hotel Chains category.
And the award in this category goes to Glamp Eco Stays Manali. Glamp Eco is India's first geodesic dome site and was built with huge emphasis on sustainable tourism in remote Himalayan regions. Big congratulations. Can we move on to the next category, please?
Thinkers of Tomorrow, MSME of the Year in Fashion and Accessories category.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the winner in the category, Niemans. Niemans is India's first footwear brand that uses natural, renewable, recycled and biodegradable fibers in their shoes, conceptualized to lead a culture of sustainability and comfort in India's footwear space. Presenting the next category.
Thinkers of Tomorrow, MSME of the Year in Retail and E-Commerce category.
And the winner in the category is EcoKari. EcoKari is a social enterprise that upcycles waste plastic bags and food wrappers using charkha and handloom to conserve the environment and enable livelihoods for underprivileged women and youth. Can we move on to the next category, please?
Thinkers of Tomorrow, MSME of the Year in Restaurants and Cloud Kitchens category.
And the winner in Restaurants and Cloud Kitchens is Sky Kitchen Food Tech Private Limited. Sky Kitchen operates cloud kitchens in a house of brands model. Sustainability has been at the core of their business. Not just their packaging, but everything about them is unique. Their packaging is 100% biodegradable along with disposable cutlery. Presenting the next category.
Thinkers of Tomorrow, MSME of the Year, Special Jury Recognition in Restaurants and Cloud Kitchens category.
And the award, ladies and gentlemen, in this category goes to Gajamukha Food Private Limited, Edible Pro. Edible Pro is a manufacturing unit based out of Bangalore who are into niche edible cutlery products using millets, which are eco-friendly, hygienic, zero waste, nutritious, biodegradable, using zero chemicals and preservatives. Moving on to the next category.
Thinkers of Tomorrow, MSME of the Year in Logistics category.
And the award goes to Equip Trans Logistics. Equip Trans is part of the Syros Group, are the pioneers of smart green logistics in India, enabling industries to reduce emissions, assuring better ESG performance. And now moving on to the next category.
Thinkers of Tomorrow, MSME of the Year in Education and Training category.
This one going out to Essensive Educare Limited. Essensive is a social enterprise with a pan-India presence, and they are working towards development of skills among job aspirants and entrepreneurs. Moving on to the next category, please.
Thinkers of Tomorrow, MSME of the Year in Special category.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this category, please put your hands together for Rapidu Technologies Private Limited. Rapidu are the leading player in India's circular economy, providing innovative technology solutions for waste management and recycling with a focus on creating sustainable, environmental friendly future. The next winner in this category is Tanya Impex. Tanya Impex is a manufacturer and exporter of ready-to-wear garments. Tanya Impex is committed to long-term commitment to sustainability for the benefit of society with various initiatives. And the next winner in this category is Pressure Jet Systems Private Limited. Pressure Jet is one of India's largest manufacturer and exporters of very high pressure reciprocating pumps with more than 5,000 customers, 1,000 suppliers and 125 employees. The company has gone 100% paperless, ladies and gentlemen. That deserves a huge round of applause. And the last winner in special category is Defern Modular Systems Private Limited. Defern is a 25-year-old furniture manufacturer from Gujarat, known for producing high-quality furniture at affordable prices with a focus on customer satisfaction and innovative design. Let's head into the next category.
Thinkers of Tomorrow, Entrepreneur of the Year category.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Entrepreneur of the Year. This one going out to Puneet Gupta. Puneet Gupta is the founder and CEO of Clensta, a true visionary and very passionate about building India's holistic platform for health and personal care. Presenting the next category.
Thinkers of Tomorrow, Young Entrepreneur of the Year category.
And the award in this category goes out to Kushagra Srivastava. Kushagra is the CEO at Chakra Innovation. He is a distinguished Forbes 30 Under 30 Global Honoree. And we have Kusum Srivastava, the proud mother, with us to receive it on his behalf. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to move on to the last category of the evening.
Thinkers of Tomorrow, Most Promising MSME of the Year category.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you'll double your applause because it's a double celebration for Niemans. I request you to please stay back on stage, and Mr. Kumar, you too, if you could just stay back on stage, as I would like to request all the winners now and all the panelists to please join us on stage for a group winners photograph, please.
Symphony presents Thinkers of Tomorrow in partnership with News 18 Network. Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.